Let's be brutally honest. Japanese women don't age like fine wine. They age like unrefrigerated sushi. By the time the calendar slaps a 3 in front of their age, something strange happens. Perfume bottles get bigger, but somehow the smell doesn't get better. And no, it's not your imagination. There's a hygiene crisis hiding in plain sight, and nobody in Japan dares to talk about it. You'll hear endless stereotypes about clean Japan, the sparkling toilets, the polite bows, the white surgical masks. But here's the dirty little secret. Those masks aren't just for colds or pollen. Sometimes they're for hiding what's coming out of their own mouths. And I don't mean words. Stay with me, because what I'm about to say will make you rethink every innocent anime girl, every geisha stereotype, every pure and feminine image Japan has ever exported. Behind the fantasy is a smell nobody wants to admit. The next 10 minutes, we're breaking down the real reason why after 30, Japanese femininity starts losing its fragrance, and not in a poetic way. So if you think you can handle it, buckle up, because once I open this Pandora's box, you'll never step on a Japanese subway the same way again. Let's start with the myth. Japan sells itself to the world as the gold standard of hygiene. You've seen the travel vlogs, spotless train stations, robots scrubbing the floors, convenience stores so clean you could eat your onigiri off the counter. The message is simple. Japan equals sign cleanliness. End of story. But here's the punchline. All of that public hygiene is just set decoration. It's the showroom version of Japan. Behind closed doors, inside the average home, inside the average bathroom, and yes, inside the average marriage, the smell is different. And not in a good way. Public restrooms? Sure, they sparkle. But walk into the private bathroom of a 35-year-old Japanese woman and you'll see the story change. Mold creeping in the corners, toothbrushes that haven't been replaced in months, towels that smell like yesterday's ramen broth. And if you think I'm exaggerating, ask any foreigner who's dated, lived with, or, God forbid, married one. The cultural obsession with appearances ends right at the front door. Even the whole shower every day stereotype. Not true. Plenty of Japanese women in their 30s still rely on the evening bath ritual. Sounds romantic until you realize it means sharing the same lukewarm stew of skin cells, soap residue, and family sweat. That's not hygiene, that's soup. And dental care? Don't even get me started. Japan has world-class trains, but when it comes to teeth, it's like they stopped in 1950. Regular flossing? Rare. Dental checkups? Avoided. By the time 30 rolls around, what used to be a cute smile turns into a biological weapon. That mask culture suddenly makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So yes, Japan is clean, but it's the kind of clean where the hotel lobby sparkles while the back alley stinks of old fish. And Japanese women over 30? They've mastered the art of looking polished while smelling like the back kitchen of an izakaya. Let's talk about the two killers of romance that nobody dares mention in Japan, halitosis and body odor. You think I'm being cruel? No, I'm being generous. Because nothing kills the mystique of Japanese femininity faster than sitting across from a 32-year-old office lady whose breath smells like a neglected aquarium. Here's the problem. Japan, for all its high-tech glory, never really invented deodorant culture. You walk into a drugstore in Tokyo, and the deodorant section is about as big as the chewing gum shelf at a gas station in Nebraska. And even then, half the products are sprays that mask the smell for about 15 minutes, until the humidity of summer brings it back with interest. Combine that with Japan's love for fish, pickles, natto, and cigarettes, and you've got a cocktail that even Dior can't cover. The irony? Japanese people will tell you with a straight face that foreigners smell bad. Yes, Karen-san, maybe I smell like fabric softener, but at least I don't knock people unconscious when I yawn on the train. Now sweat. You'd think a nation that lives in 35-degree humid summers would have mastered the art of antiperspirant. Wrong. Many Japanese women actually believe sweat is natural and therefore doesn't require heavy-duty deodorant, which sounds cute until you're pressed against someone in Shibuya Station and realize that natural smells suspiciously like a compost bin. And here's the kicker. Japanese women over 30 actually developed what's known locally as old person smell way earlier than you'd expect. The medical term is non-enol, a chemical compound that gives off a greasy, grassy odor. In Japan, they politely call it kareishu, but polite or not, it's like odor-style futon. Add a splash of cigarette smoke and leftover miso soup, and you've got the national fragrance of middle-aged Japan. So yes, Japan may have high-speed trains and toilets that sing lullabies, but step inside a crowded elevator in summer and you'll discover the true national anthem, the suffocating silence of people pretending not to notice the smell. For decades, Japan has exported one of its greatest illusions, the eternally feminine Japanese woman, soft-spoken, elegant, refined, like a geisha who somehow got a part-time job at Shiseido. Hollywood bought it, anime worships it, lonely Western men practically mortgage their souls chasing it. But here's the truth they don't put in the brochures. After 30, the fantasy collides headfirst with reality, and reality smells. Let's break it down. In your 20s, it's easy to fake femininity. A splash of makeup, a cute outfit, some perfume, and boom, every foreigner thinks he's dating his own personal anime heroine. But makeup can't cover morning breath. A Louis Vuitton handbag won't cancel out stale hair that hasn't been washed properly in 3 days. And cuteness doesn't mean much when the apartment smells like damp laundry because someone forgot that washing machines also need cleaning. The problem is cultural. Japan emphasizes the performance of femininity, not the maintenance of hygiene. Women are taught to look kawaii, to act demure, to invest in appearances. But basic health? Brushing teeth twice a day with floss, switching out sponges before they become bacterial zoos, deodorant that actually works? Nope. Those things are considered optional. And by the time 30 hits, biology steps in. Hormones shift, skin oil changes, non-anal creeps in. And suddenly the fragrance of youth turns into what the locals themselves quietly joke about as ojisan smell, but coming from women. Men suffer too, sure, but society lets them get away with it. Women, however, are supposed to remain eternally fresh. Spoiler, they don't. Now add stress. Japan's work culture grinds women down, especially after marriage or childbirth. Self-care becomes a luxury. Skincare routines shrink. Dental visits are postponed. Hair appointments get skipped. The result? The carefully curated feminine image crashes faster than the Nikkei in the 90s. And yet foreigners still cling to the fantasy of the flawless Japanese woman while holding their breath on the subway. So yes, the myth survives overseas. But up close, the reality smells like reality. And that's not kawaii, it's tragicomic. If you thought things were rough at 30, wait until marriage and motherhood enter the chat. That's when Japanese femininity doesn't just decline, it free falls. Because nothing kills the illusion of the eternally polished Japanese woman faster than the daily grind of being a wife and mother in Japan. Let's start with the basics. Marriage in Japan isn't about romance. It's about domestic survival cosplay. Women are expected to quit their jobs, or at least downgrade their careers, to become full-time household managers. Translation: endless cooking, laundry, and cleaning. Sounds noble, right? Except here's the twist. While Japanese women clean obsessively for guests, they often let their own personal hygiene slide. Showers become quicker, hair washing less frequent. Dental visits? Forget it. The husband and kids come first. Now add motherhood. New moms anywhere in the world are exhausted, but in Japan, cultural expectations make it worse. You're supposed to be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, and the perfect daughter-in-law all at once. The result? Self-care evaporates. Skincare routines disappear faster than a paycheck at Don Quixote. Perfume? Too expensive. Makeup? Only for special occasions. And deodorant? Who has the energy to think about that when you're chasing toddlers and scrubbing rice cookers? By the time a Japanese woman hits her mid-30s with a couple of kids, she's trapped in what I call the izakaya smell cycle. Daytime sweat plus leftover cooking odors plus minimal deodorant equals sign the permanent scent of a smoky bar at closing time. And the kicker? Husbands barely notice because they're too busy overworking, drinking with colleagues, or passed out on the sofa. And let's be honest, Japan's housing doesn't help. Tiny apartments with poor ventilation mean that once that lived-in smell sets in, it becomes part of the furniture. No amount of cherry blossom scented air freshener will save you. So, marriage and motherhood in Japan don't just transform the woman's role, they transform her aroma. And not in the way anime promised. The truth? Post-marriage femininity is less geisha, more greasy kitchen rag. Here's where the fantasy crashes into the wall. Foreign men, especially Western ones, arrive in Japan armed with romantic illusions. They've watched too much anime, believed too many blogs, and maybe dated one too many insecure women back home who told them, Japanese girls are so feminine. So they land in Tokyo expecting geishas, kimonos, and eternal cherry blossom breath. The first few months? Magical. She dresses cute. She giggles at his bad Japanese. She makes bento lunches. He thinks, wow, I've won the cultural lottery. But then comes the day he notices the truth. It could be something small at first, like her breath smelling less like cherry blossoms and more like fermented mackerel, or the fact that she never seems to own floss, or that her favourite deodorant is a spray bottle labelled Cool Mint, which lasts about as long as his student visa. Then there's the bigger shock. Foreigners don't realise Japan has no real deodorant culture. The poor guy brings his new wife to London in July, and suddenly her natural body odour announces itself to the entire tube carriage. She's confused. He's mortified. And the myth of the eternally elegant Japanese woman evaporates faster than sake at a karaoke bar. Tourists notice it too, by the way. Spend one rush hour on a summer subway in Osaka and you'll understand. The car is silent, but the smell is screaming. Foreign visitors go home thinking, wait, weren't the Japanese supposed to be the cleanest people on earth? Surprise. Public hygiene, personal hygiene. Even foreign women living in Japan comment on it. Many are shocked that their Japanese co-workers, women who dress immaculately, will casually show up with yellowing teeth, unwashed hair, and, yes, a noticeable odour. It's not malicious. It's cultural neglect. Japan simply doesn't prioritise personal hygiene past a certain age, and foreigners only realise this after the honeymoon phase fades. So yes, the world still worships the myth. But expats know the truth. What smells like mystique at 22 smells like fish market at closing time by 32. And once you notice, you can never unsmell it. Now here's the real twist. Everyone in Japan already knows. They know about the halitosis. They know about the deodorant shortage. They know that oji-san smell creeps in earlier than a midlife crisis. But Japan's #1 national sport isn't baseball, it's denial. This is the country that invented the word tatame, the pretty front you show the world, while hon, the ugly truth, rots quietly in the background. Public image is everything, and if that means pretending Japanese women remain eternally feminine and eternally fresh, then the fantasy must be protected at all costs. Even if it means walking into an elevator and silently suffering for 10 floors. The beauty industry plays its part too. Billions are spent on makeup, clothes, hair dye, and skincare, everything to preserve the illusion of beauty. But deodorant, dental care, actual hygiene products that work, not exactly profitable. After all, if the fantasy cracks, the whole export industry of kawaii Japan goes down with it. And Japanese men? Most are too polite or too checked out to mention it. In a society where confrontation is avoided like eye contact on the subway, husbands will never say, honey, your breath could stun a horse. Instead, they stay quiet, drink more, and retreat to the mistress or the soapland. Problem solved, at least for them. So the cycle continues. Women invest in appearances, society clings to denial, and foreigners keep buying the myth. Japan manages to smell clean while quietly sinking. And the irony? The world still points to Japan as a model of hygiene. It's like praising a perfume bottle that's empty inside, shiny, iconic, and useless. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If Japan's women lose their fragrance of femininity after 30, yet the entire country keeps pretending nothing's wrong, who's the bigger fraud? The women who stopped caring, or the society that refuses to call them out? Drop your answer in the comments. And be honest, because unlike Japan's hygiene crisis, this debate shouldn't stay covered up.